Why society is actually fucking with your sleep. So, hello and welcome back to this episode of the Self-Development with Tactics podcast. And I'm very pumped to be here. Actually very in the morning. So I'm pretty sorry if I sound a little bit like a morning person. I don't fucking know. But it's in the morning. But yeah, I actually have to say, I do not know if it is really just the best thing to practically or theoretically, nevertheless, just blame the society for what's happening with you. Still in a lot of societies and in a lot of, I guess, cultures, actually showing off is something that's totally normal and that actually people are kind of forced to do. Because, it's their society or it's their culture. And still I would say, no, you shouldn't show off. You should just, save your money and you shouldn't act rich. You should be rich. And this is the exact same thing, I guess, Even though society and I know the world in general might just kind of quote unquote force you to less sleep or sleep deprivation, as they say, it doesn't have to be the case for you, I really guess, that you could actually be able to sleep your daily 8 hours or your daily 9 hours or 10 hours if you don't do other things like, go for success or the willingness to be rich or whatsoever. So I do think you have just always to compromise everything. Whether it's now sleep, and I'm sorry that I actually just turn everything off. Whether it's sleep, whether it's something else. But yeah, we will go ahead with the sleep summary. Well, I'm sorry. Where is it? It's not this. There is it. So yeah, I think this will be the last episode. And today there will only be, I think, one episode because I do not know if I'm able. I could manage it. To be really honest, I could do it. But the problem is I do just have to do the posts as well. I just also have to do the posts for Thursday because I'm not at home on Wednesday and so on, and therefore it's a little bit of a problem for me that I actually get all the content together so that I actually can post it. But yeah, everything is possible if you want to, and I don't know, maybe this is also one of the reasons why I'm actually posting 10 posts a fucking day, I actually talked yesterday to someone and they said actually she said actually that it might be too much. The 10 posts might be too much and that I, should, have a better quality in terms of my posts. And, that a lot of people, and she has been talking to someone as well, and people actually get fucked up. That, the only thing they're seeing on Instagram is practically my shit. And I was thinking like, it makes sense to some degree, It makes sense that it isn't good if you just fuck people off. The problem there that I'm seeing is quite the reason why I'm putting out so much is that the chance that I'm actually getting recognized and that people actually see my content is much higher if I put out as much as possible, which I can totally see in terms of my impressions. I guess impressions are the number or the count that actually people see my content. So like not engaging with it, just seeing it. I do think just scrolling over it is also an impression, but I don't know. But I guess it's just, when people see it. The thing there is, when I put out 10 posts rather than 4 posts, or let's say 5 posts because it's a little easier to calculate, then I have double the amount of impressions because I regularly just get a certain amount of impressions on my posts and I just get the double amount of it. Then the problem there is also because I do not know, because I've once seen a story of another Instagrammer, someone that I'm quite familiar to, I'd say. And he actually told in his story that he has to post less posts, or has to post nothing for, I think it was a day, because he was somehow shadow banned, it was called, I don't know, that people actually are not seeing his content. I don't actually know if this is true. I don't actually know if there is something like shadow banning and Instagram actually banning contents or content creators because they just put out too much. Or what I have seen and what I have heard is actually that Instagram or the algorithm just really reduces the reach posts have that are just very, very similar to all the posts you posted. Which means that when I'm always just, using the same hashtags over and over and over again, like over just 4 months and 5 months, actually only the same people will see it. So it's practically just really smart to actually just change it up a little bit from time to time, because you can reach more people and you can reach just different people, which was actually also one of the things I did, I guess, a week ago, something like before my holidays actually somehow, and it worked out for me, I guess. It really worked out for me, and it is always great to see some other people just really following you or liking your pictures or commenting or whatsoever. And on another hand, going for quality, at my point of view, is never something you should be doing, because my quality, or when I just make a post, it would be in terms of my quality a 10. For somebody else, it might only be just a 1, because quality is something that's so subjective. And so therefore, I don't know. I guess I'm just still doing my 10 posts, because I kind of also feel like, the more posts I have, the higher the chances that I actually kind of reach someone in terms of emotionally. Like, if I put out 3 posts, the chances are way, 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 like the chances, or the possibility actually, is way smaller, or way lower, whatever. And the more posts I have, the higher the chances that I actually somehow emotionally reach someone, or kind of connect emotionally to someone. Which for me means, okay, this certain formulation, this certain photo, this certain way I made this post is actually kind of, I'm just missing a word. I'm really missing a word that's so incredibly crucial right now. Fuck. I just, there are a lot of ways to make a post, and not every post just connects to certain people, or to people just, as good or as well as another post, or another type of a post. There is video, there is only audio. I could do just a picture. I could include a picture of mine. I couldn't include a picture of mine. There are so many ways I could actually do the post that, the chances are just much higher to reach someone on the emotional base when I do just put out as much content as possible. But maybe you give me your opinion. Would be great. Hit me up on Instagram, Walch Christopher, actually everything written together, and actually all the things, so all the social media platforms, whether it is YouTube, Twitter, Tumblr, I guess as well, my website, and all these things are actually always down in the description, rather in the podcast description, so of the actual podcast, or of the real just episode description. Like the episode that you're just viewing right now has a description, but the podcast itself has also a description. But I guess the podcast description only includes one singular link, and this singular link actually leads to quite all the platforms that I have. It's just a great interface so that I have everything together and everything is nice and neat. But to actually get ahead a little bit, even though it's only just 2 chapters, maybe it was even good that I just started the episode with a little of a story, because I'm actually quite feared to just be a little bit too fast, because I don't know, maybe I'm just used to going through them just on a pretty higher tempo than I should be doing today. So chapter 15, Sleep and Society, what medicine and education are doing wrong, what Google and NASA are doing right. Our society has structurally locked in sleep deprivation in 4 ways, as they say. But, as you know, and as I've said before, I do kind of feel like just, blaming the society and blaming everybody else but yourself isn't the way to go. It's very, 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 dangerous, I'd even say, because, why would you? It is your fault that you're not sleeping, not the society's fault. You could always just, preference sleep so high that, that you would just sleep before you would eat, or sleep before you take a shit, or whatsoever. Work. The ethos at many companies thinks sleep is for the weak, and lionizes. Is this even a fucking word? Lionizes. Give a lot of public attention and approval to someone. Treat as a celebrity. Modern sportsmen are lionized and feted. Okay. The road warrior who fearlessly crosses time zones in tiny amounts of sleep and answers emails at 1 a.m. More hours worked equals more productivity, which is total bullshit, which is actually something that's a little bit fucked up with hard work, I guess. Hard work doesn't equal just, good work or smart work at all. You can work pretty hard on what you're willing to do, but, if you're just doing the same shit over and over again and you're just seeing it as work, quote unquote fucking work, it's just for your fucking ego. I don't know. But it's totally true. I do think a lot of companies just, would like to have employees that are just always working. It makes sense. If I would have a company, I would totally like employees who are working hard and, a lot of hours. But so for me, it kind of makes sense, But on the other side, I totally understand what they are saying, that it is just bad for your sleep. And they are just thinking about the sleep and not about economics or about the business or whatsoever, which is then true, totally. The effects of sleep deprivation are costly. Lost productivity per sleep-deprived workers is in the thousands of dollars a year. In Why We Sleep, Matthew Walker argues insufficient sleep costs 2% of GDP, whatever GDP is, short for gross domestic product. Now I know it. I even actually learned it in school. Fuck. But yeah. So in a natural experiment, studying workers on opposite edges of a time zone, workers who obtained an hour of extra sleep earned 5% higher wages. Very interesting. And I don't know if you knew this, but actually Jeff Bezos is pretty much preferencing his sleep very, very highly. He really makes sure that he sleeps every single night 8 hours. And he always quite points out and underlines that he is not quite obsessed with his work. He likes what he's doing, but he's not obsessed with it. And I kind of found it very, very interesting, because all the rich people and, all the pretty wealthy ones are just kind of work driven, he is to some sort of as well, because nobody would just build an empire just by working an hour a day, He just had to work, and he did work a lot, I guess. Or I know, actually. And but he really preferences sleep. He really does. And he really makes sure that he gets enough sleep. And I would say this just, comes up to who you are. Some people need more sleep. Some people actually just deal with 4 hours of sleep or 3 hours of sleep, This totally comes up to who you are and how your life's looking like, I guess, as well. If you have kids or not, which may be also an effect of, how much and how good your sleep is. Reduced work performance, creativity, motivation, social cohesion, increased risk-taking, impulsiveness, and desire to cheat. Leaders who sleep worse are rated worse by their team, even on a day-by-day resolution, and cause less engagement in their workers. Workers who sleep less rate their leaders as less charismatic, regardless of the leader's sleep level. This or thus forming a multiplicative effect where sleepless leaders and workers make everyone miserable. Insidiously, workers don't perceive themselves as performing worse when sleep deprived. Which was actually something they pointed out before as well. They actually said, okay, when you are sleep deprived, you do not actually think that you are less productive or less creative or less anything, which is, I guess, interesting, which is, I guess, very dangerous as well. Like, if you don't actually see, or if you do not actually kind of admit to some way that you are actually not as creative or productive as you have been, well, yeah. Another vicious cycle: people sleep less because of the amount of work they have to do, but their low sleep reduces their productivity and increases the work remaining. Which is then just a very, very fucked up thing, isn't it? The tide is shifting with flexible work hours to suit personal circadian rhythms, nap pods, and adaptive office lighting. I guess I really think, and I'm just really looking forward for me actually just working in companies. Like, the first things I'm gonna do is just working for somebody else, unless I'm quite able to maybe just do my own shit. But maybe I won't, if I'm just, having a great job, earning the money I wanna earn and whatsoever, or maybe even have a job and have a side hustle, this is something I could totally do. Why not? It's totally possible in nowadays life, time, whatever, with the internet and everything. It's just possible for us. And why I do not, I think, necessarily have to have my own business and have to have, I don't know, my own agency or be an entrepreneur or whatsoever. For sure, I guess I would just wholly make more money as an entrepreneur and as someone who has his or her own company. But still, some employees, and I've just, on Wednesday, there's actually an episode that's coming up, which is incredibly great at my point of view, because, it totally shows, okay, if you're an employee, you can also make 500 fucking K a month. A year, not a month. A month would be totally a lot, but which is 50K a month or something, which is incredibly high. It's just incredible. But yeah, I'm pretty interested to also then work in very big companies. Like, I would like to just work for Google, to actually just have, the feeling of actually working for Google. Like, if it is really that nice as all the people say, or if it's actually not that nice, whatsoever. This is just something that I'm very interested in. But I do think just the culture you're having in your business, and this is something that I just realize every single day more and more and more, is very important. It is very important that the people that are working for you, are actually just dealing in a great way with all the other people that are working for you, and that you are a good boss and a kind one and not a fucked up motherfucker. But education. To match parents' schedules, primary and secondary school often begins at 8 a.m., sometimes actually 7 a.m. Kids who need to catch a long bus ride have to wake up at 5:30 a.m. or earlier. Yeah, this is now a generalization, but it's the same thing for me. My school begins, I think, at 8 a.m. and I get up at 5:20 or something. 5:30, 5 o'clock actually sometimes as well. It always depends on what I'm doing, because my train ride, if you actually call it like this, takes me, I think, 40 minutes. But this is a very, very fast train, so it could also take me 1.5 hours. So it always depends on what train I can get to. But yeah, I do not think it's that bad, to be honest. I do just really like it when I'm outside and nobody else is outside, and I'm quite alone and nobody fucks with me and nobody's bothering me. Something that I actually like somehow. I don't know. It's just great to start your day, I guess. But yeah. So remember that children have delayed circadian rhythms. This is akin to forcibly waking adults at 3:30 a.m. every day. Kids with lower sleep show lower motivation, academic performance, IQ, greater irritability, distraction, anxiety, substance abuse, risk of traffic accidents. Unfortunately, kids from poorer families are less likely to be driven to school, which may reduce their academic performance, which reduces their future income, which then punishes their own kids in the same way. I kind of disagree with this paragraph, because it's totally not like, you need kind of high education to actually earn a lot. I guess, it's good for you, and it would be great for you to have higher education, and I think the possibility to actually have a higher income is higher, but you do not necessarily have to go to a university to just, earn a lot of money, through the internet and through just, entrepreneurship, which is just totally something that a lot of people just think about nowadays. It's totally possible, I guess. Many kids diagnosed with ADHD may actually have sleep disorders. Matthew Walker's estimates less than 50% are misdiagnosed. Or quite 50% are misdiagnosed. Unfortunately, and they are treated with amphetamine, like Adderall, causing even worse sleep problems. Which is, I think, just amazing in a negative way. That they actually treat people with or you could just, view it the other way around. If you're really just treating people with, I've just lost it, I'm very sorry. Amphetamines, I don't know. I just totally guess it. LSD is one of them. So if you're really just using it to treat people, why is it then illegal? I know for sure people would just, actually kind of abuse it and, whatsoever. But yeah, which is something very interesting. Even in the Swiss, do you call it like this? I don't know. Like in Switzerland, I think Switzerland, yeah. In Switzerland, they actually just use it to, so they use LSD to actually cure Alzheimer's, if I remember correctly, which is amazing, I guess, But yeah, I think we should actually go on. Structurally, school start times may be locked in by bus driver unions, parent schedule, and maybe teacher unions. Medical training. The medical resistancy training system began with a cocaine-addicted surgeon, William Halstead, in New York in the 1880s. Viewing sleep as the enemy, he instituted 30-hour shifts. Sleep-deprived resistance show greater risk. Now I get why he's actually taking cocaine. Cocaine, I mean. You just have to just kind of imagine it, someone, a surgeon, that's actually just having 30 fucking hour shifts. And then he's, cocaine addicted, to compensate his fucking, sleep deprivation. But yeah, where did I fucking stop? So sleep deprived resistance show greater risk of medical errors, surgical errors, misdiagnosis, and careless deaths. Recall that after 22 hours without sleep, performance is impaired to the same level as being legally drunk. Wow. First year resistance are now limited to 24-hour shifts and 80-hour weeks. Later year resistance have no such restriction, since the ACGME claims the medical error studies were done only on first year resistance. Wow, just now fucking mind. Structurally, changes resisted for fear of limiting patient volume for training purposes and encouraging laziness relative to what the attending doctors had to suffer through. Okay. Torture. Sleep deprivation reduces the quality of information in brackets harms memory recall and increases the risk of lying and false confessions just to get some sleep. I see. This is recognized by many countries as unethical, but still practiced by others, like the US in Abu Ghraib, whatever. I don't know. I think it's just normal that you just are willing to go to sleep no matter what, I guess, which is really something interesting and which is something that stayed in my mind. I guess if you're really so sleep deprived, like, 30-hour shifts and, 24-hour shifts, which is totally a lot as well, I think there's nothing else you're thinking about actually than going to bed at the end. Like, if you're just driving home, no matter what you're doing, I do think the only thing that you're just, thinking about most of the times, for sure, if you do have some problems in your family and whatsoever, then you will just, think about these things. But I guess that, if this is actually the only thing that's on my mind, is the one thing that you're focusing on and you're not seeing anything else. And this really reminds me now on Les Brown. And one of the things he was telling me and a lot of other people, of course, in his motivational speeches, which was that, when you aren't able to breathe, like, if you're underwater or whatsoever, and you're really struggling with it, or having asthma, or, whatever you're having, the only thing that you're thinking about is actually breathing. Nothing else. You're not thinking about the basketball game that's gonna be in an hour. You're not thinking about your kids. You're not thinking about your wife may be angry at you for not being just at home earlier. I don't know, so many things. And actually not trying to be putting everyone into the same bucket, like the angry housewife and, whatsoever. There are great wives outside there. And great women outside there. Very, very immensely great women outside there. I do not want to say, okay, all of them are just angry at you because you're not going home so early or some shit like this. But the only thing that you're just talking and thinking about is actually you and your willingness to actually breathe again. Which is amazing. I do not just remember the plot of it. So it's kind of now like, okay, you know it, but there's nothing about it. But actually, on my channel, there's actually a playlist with all the motivational speeches I've been listening to in my very quite early days of actually getting motivated and getting inspired. So if you want to check them out, they're enormously great, at my point of view at least. The most of them are quite positive. One of them is quite also, they're all positive. You can get something from all of them. But period. Chapter 16, that's okay. A new vision for sleep in the 21st century. Chronic sleep deprivation has a variety of causes, from the individual scaling up to the societal. In Why We Sleep, Matthew Walker suggests a variety of fixes. Individual ones: automated Internet of Things household that can automatically sense your circadian rhythm and personalize the temperature and lighting to maximize sleep. Furthermore, if you have an upcoming disruption to your sleep schedule, like a flight, it can adjust your circadian rhythm to smoothen the transition. Like having a great home or something. Sophisticated body trackers that record sleep, physical activity, light exposure, temperature, just want to say texture, heart rate, mood, happiness, social performance, productivity. Is there even something like this? I don't fucking know. And shows how your sleep correlates with better performance on all dimensions. Is there for sure a body tracker who is actually recognizing your fucking happiness, social performance? I don't think so, to be honest. There are body trackers for like heart rate and temperature and these things, which make sense because you can measure them, but maybe I just have to look it up afterwards. I quite hope there's not something like this. Like, how should you measure happiness? Maybe there's some chemicals going on in your body that's actually kind of, making you happy. I don't fucking know. But, I don't know. But yeah. So, can also predict when it's best to get a flu shot, since sleep affects responsiveness to vaccine. Patients given tools to show their compliance with a program like BP monitors, scales, increase compliance rates. Cars that sense sleep driving through facial recognition and driving behavior can shut down car or lead to lower insurance rates. Okay. Educational. Having sleep be a mandatory subject in physical education like drugs and diet. Having predictive tools that show the cost to health and income if you continue your poor sleep habits. Instructive populace on sleep driving as much as drunk driving. Okay. Organizational. Companies should be more flexible about work hours, allow naps. I do think this is gonna happen, especially with 5G and whatsoever will come. I do think in the next few years actually people will be more working at home and more remote at work, I guess, because I think it's possible. I think it will be possible, and even more kinda more better, maybe. Would even be better. I don't know. We'll see. Very interesting what's coming up in the future. Like with the Galaxy Fold and all these technical, just achievements that we've gone to, just amazing and just very incredibly, I'm very incredibly looking forward to what's going to happen in the future. In terms of technology, in terms of research, in terms of all these things. I'm very, very happy that I'm actually only 18 years old. That I'm actually so young and my life is quite in front of me. So companies should be more flexible about work hours, allow naps, and de-emphasize hours worked in favor of real productivity. Employers and insurance companies can incentivize sleep for consecutive days of over 7 hours of sleep, as tracked by Sleep Monitor. Get extra vacation days, more pay, or reductions in premiums. I don't know. I think it's quite complicated to actually somehow give employees a little more of vacation or whatsoever when they are sleep deprived, because then some fuckers will just don't sleep, or hack their body monitor fucking shit. There are always some kind of deep people. You just have to just look out for certain things like this. So I don't know how you could do this. I don't have a fucking clue, but yeah. Hospitals should promote sleep hygiene for patients, especially in ICU and NICU. Change the harsh white lighting, dispense earplugs and eye masks, reduce alarms and beeps, and schedule lab tests to align better with sleep schedule. Better sleep is shown to reduce sensitivity to pain and increase weight gain. So better sleep, increase weight gain and O2 set levels in neonates. And this, my people, was actually actually maybe his thoughts. So this is an incredible summary. Thank you so much for this. I've been sharing it everywhere. Or this is not from the author himself. Yeah. So this was actually it with this summary. Has been quite a long journey, I guess, but an interesting one. I do think, and I do hope, and I do also know, I guess, and that people will get something out of it, and that you will get something out of it. And I would totally suggest you to go through the other episodes as well, if you haven't gone through them yet. But yeah, with this being said, I wish you the best health, wealth, happiness, and success. And still don't forget to, kind of remind yourself on how you gonna be remembered. And yeah, actually giving back to the people, because it is important. Whether they have given you something or not doesn't matter, but just give them something, whether the world or just other people. With that being said, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you.